சார்
ஏய்
சொல்லுங்க சார்.
வந்து சார் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண சொல்லுங்க.
ஒன் மினிட்.
Good afternoon to all. First of all, thank you very much for joining this webinar during this pandemic time. We will starting this webinar shortly. Meanwhile, let me take an opportunity to introduce our GKD ITR. GKD Institute for Technological Resources is a unit of GKD Charity Trust Coimbatore. It was established by late Cavalier Dr. D. Jayavardhan Velu, former chairman, Lakshmi Machine Works Limited. For the first time in our country, GKD ITR is tied up with Tata Institute of Social Sciences and Alagappa University for commencing university model degree level program and skill development programs in the domain of manufacturing, automation, and robot. Moreover, GKD ITR has Fanuc India certified CNC and robot training institution for CNC and robot. Over 80,000 trainees from GKD ITR has secured jobs in prestigious companies in India and abroad. Now, I request our director, Dr. Balamurugan M, to give welcome address for this webinar. Welcome, sir.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, the Neuro linguistics of innovation. The goal of doing this webinar is today's manufacturing changing faster than ever before. And the drivers for this include globalization, individualization, time to market, and sustainability. There is no doubt that over the last decade, India has transformed itself digitally. The technology startup ecosystem has witnessed a significant growth of art. However, the question that arises, so-called, where that Indian tech entrepreneurs, investors, and the corporates. The ongoing tech revolution has given rise to deep technologies innovation that will be at the heart of the next wave of information and interference. Now the question is how to deal with these gaps. According to NASCAM report, 18% of startups in India can be classified as a deep tech innovation, with a focus on technologies like AI, ML, AR, VR, blockchain, and IoT across industries such as fintech, health tech, agri-tech, and more. Research says that deep tech growth in India needs mindset change at ecosystem level. I repeat once again, research says that deep tech growth in India needs a mindset change at ecosystem level. First thing in first, the neuro-linguistic innovation is not a new technology, nor it is a business discipline. I believe that by participating in this webinar, we are the right place and right time. Together, let us accelerate exchange of ideas and scaling up good practices. Now, without further delay, we'll turn the time over to our speaker. Our today's speaker is Mr. Sagar. He's a CEO of My Growth Organization, domain expert in factory automation, manufacturing, and also international master trainer in NLP. I invite Mr. Sagar to deliver this webinar. Mr. Sagar, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Bala, for this opportunity. It's indeed a pleasure to reconnect with manufacturing industry because that is where I come from. I was in this industry in the 90s when the industry was at the cusp of a lot of innovation. So I was working back in Pune in Tata Motors, where for the very first time a large number of robots were applied in vehicle production. I'm talking about the Tata Indica project. And that also was a great opportunity because since it was a completely indigenously built car, there was a scope for a lot of new thinking and innovation to be applied. So it was a great foundation for someone like me who had just started his career. But then innovation was something that I always sort of enjoyed thinking about and enjoyed doing. So after this, of course, in my several other assignments, other than the 2 sales assignments of auto components, everywhere else there was scope for a lot of innovation. And 2014 onwards, I have been a full-time trainer and a coach. So I work with small and large organizations, with leadership, with CEOs and heads of functions, training and coaching them into not just innovation, but a lot of other leadership aspects as well. So we're going to talk a little more about that a little later. So we'll start sharing my screen, and if there's any question, please feel free to type it in the chat box, or we can even reconnect later. Okay, so at the outset, let me tell you what this program is not. Okay, and why should we first innovate? I'm just take a look at these 2 pictures. Okay, does give a very strong message, right? And a shift from a helicopter based video production or news content production to 4K definition happening in a small with a small drone is not even like there's not even like a 10-year gap between the 2, right? Let's look at this. People who were born in their 60s and 70s watched a lot of this in their young age, right? A lot of movies, one cassette, one movie, and it was a big thing, right? Big in size, bulky, clumsy to operate, right? And then came this CDs and DVDs, and one DVD could probably hold 4 or 5 movies, and we said, oh wow, what an innovation, what a revolution, right? And very soon this little thing came, and we said, oh, CDs are gone. CDs came and went in no time at all, right? So this big tape lasted many years, but the life of the CD or the DVD was much less, right? So now CDs and DVDs are probably just used to scare away the pigeons, right? I don't know many people who use CDs to watch content anymore, but I do see them hanging in balconies to scare away the pigeons, right? And then this little thing came, 5 GBs, 10 GB, 16 GBs, and we thought, oh wow, I mean, I can put in, so many movies on just one tiny thing. And the 1 TB hard disk came, and we said, oh, all my movies can fit in one. But even all of this was gone in just a few years, right? Today we are in the era of live streaming, no matter where we go, right? And content comes in much better quality. The variety of content is just infinite. We can see live TV, all of that on a little device. So look at the amount of change we've witnessed. Okay, so change, it's obvious whether you look at the first slide or the second slide, or now if you look at the third one. Okay, this Kali Pili, it's called Kali Pili taxi, black and yellow, right? Kali Pili in Bombay, very popular, right? And it's been around for I don't know how many years now. Now if you see this is a very old Fiat model where the door is to open from the front door is to open the other way, right? And that went on 40-50 years. We had Kali Pili taxis running in Pune, in Mumbai, right? And suddenly 2006, one new thing came. You could either call or go to a website and book a cab called Meru cab or Tab cab or a couple of others, right? And you had to go, let's say, to the airport early morning, next day, voila, 5:50, the cab is there right at your doorstep. Okay, and we thought, yeah, this is it, right? What can happen after this? And then came phone-based, right? Instantly, cab anytime, anywhere. And the message between, especially the second and the third slide, is not just that things change, but look at the rate of change, right? So if in earlier days, one product lasted a very long time, now products or business ideas, business models, they're just coming and going. Okay, so the rate of change has also increased. Things are becoming obsolete very, very, very fast. Okay, is this one thing itself enough for us to start thinking whether we need to innovate or not? How many of you agree that the rate of change is so overwhelming, things are changing so rapidly around us, that if we do not innovate, we will become obsolete? How many of you agree with this? Say yes. If we do not innovate, we become obsolete. How many of you agree with this? Yeah, you can do a thumbs up, you can write a yes, yes, great. 2 people? Yeah, and do the others think that, yeah, we don't need to innovate, huh? Raise the hand, yes, yes, thank you so much, right? So does everybody on this house agree that we need to innovate? Yes? Please give me a thumbs up, please type yes. Great, thanks a lot for your response, thank you. Right, so now we've clearly established why, okay? What is today's session about? And let me tell you what it is not about, okay? It is not about Google Gyan on innovation. We are not going to talk about anything that can be searched on Google. So I'm not going to talk about the dictionary definition of innovation, kinds of innovation, process of innovation. We are not talking any of that today. Okay, anything that can be Googled, you and I can do it anytime. Okay, what I want this to be is a discussion and an idea, and I want it to be a sort of a mind opener for all of us. Okay, and I'm going to connect. So I've been working with people, like I said, in the NLP coaching space for so many years now. And the one thing that I work with people on is change work, right? And we're now going to connect what could be getting in the way of people being innovative, right? And how can people train their minds to become innovative? Okay, so we're going to take a completely different look from a very different perspective. We're going to look at innovation today. Great. Now, when I say neuro linguistics of innovation, right? So neuro is our nervous system, right? The brain, the entire nervous system. There are nerves running all over the body, right? So our entire nervous system. Linguistic is language. So it's the language we speak and the language we think in. Okay, so we're always talking in our minds, right? And that thinking, that thinking determines what we are and who we are. Okay, and how it affects our behavior, how our thinking, the language of our thinking and the language that we speak. So look at this, right? So let's say when the head of an organization, let's say the CEO or the chairman, the chairperson, when they say something like this, people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Imagine if the chairman of your company, or if you are an entrepreneur and if you are heading your business, if you think like this, okay, or you think something like this, yeah, or you think something like this. Okay, now if such messages are going around in your organization, in your communication, in the annual 1st of January letter or 1st of April letter that your chairman sends out to every employee, if the messaging is something around this, what is the kind of effect that's going to have in that organization? Okay, park that thought for just a bit. Now think about this. And think about this. What do you think? If the messages are going like this about profitability, about bottom line, what do you think the orientation of that organization is going to be like? Okay, which company is likely to be more innovative? The first one or the second one? What do you think? First one or the second one? I believe you're processing this information. So if my organization, if my chairperson or anybody is saying all of that, right? Be crazy, change the world, go out there, make mistakes, it's okay, right? Versus saying, what's your profit? What's your numbers? Okay. So wherever you're working, whether you're heading this organization that you're working at or whether you're working otherwise, think about what kind of language is going around. Okay. and language reflects values. Okay. Now, in NLP or in our work, value, the way we would define value is not something that's morally right or wrong. So right, wrong, good, bad. That's not what value is. It's not a bad thing to look for profit. Okay. So it's just a matter of choice, whether you want to be innovative or whether you want to be profitable or something, or can you be both? Okay. So value is nothing but something that is important to me. So to me as an individual, to you as an individual, you as a family, if you have a family, or you as an organization. Okay. What is it that's important to a person or an entity? That's a value. Okay. So values are basically very intrinsic, very unconscious, and quite abstract. Okay, values are quite abstract, and I'll tell you exactly what I mean when I say this. Okay, the next one. So values basically have a hierarchy in our subconscious mind. Okay, what is more important than the other? It's a dynamic thing, but for an organization over a period of time, there seems to be a hierarchy. So look at these 4 words. Okay, rapid growth, change the world, social responsibility, bottom line, or being profitable. Okay, now if I arrange the 4 in order of priority, if I arrange the 4 like this: profit, rapid growth, social responsibility, customer value, right? The organization is going to have one kind of an orientation. Okay, I'm not even changing the values, I'm not even changing the words, I'm just changing the order slightly. Right? I'm just changing the order slightly. And do you think these 2 organizations, even if they have the same set of values, do you think they will operate differently? Or will they be both the same? Yeah, just by changing the hierarchy slightly, look at what's happening. Right? They won't be the same, right? Someone says no, yes, right, thanks. They will be different. Okay, so values then become a very strong set of drivers on whether we want to be innovative or not. Okay, so who is the person who loves to take risks and a person who doesn't like to take risks? Okay, so we'll say, yeah, person who likes risk, person who doesn't like risk, right? But a person who is not such a big risk taker, for them the value is safety. Correct? Whereas for a person who has a very high appetite for risk, for them the value could be thrill, adventure, innovation, or something else. Okay, so we're going deeper into those values. So at this stage, it's just about becoming aware. So even if we become aware of our value hierarchies, we can see if it's useful for us or not. Because sometimes what happens is, let's say, when I was in my 20s and my family was going through a lot of financial crisis, right? That was the time when I had to save every penny. I didn't take so many risks, right? At the age of 37, when I quit my comfortable job and got into training and coaching, there was this huge dip in my income. There was a lot of uncertainty and all of that, but it was a different context. For me, my value hierarchy had shifted, correct? And not everybody becomes aware of it at that particular age or at any point of time. There are some people, some very close friends of mine who want to do something new. They want to do something different. They feel that they're stuck in this job. They're still not able to take that step and start pursuing that passion, because at an unconscious level, that safety is still at the top of their list. They are somehow not aware that it is still so. And if I can do certain things and assure myself that yes, my safety is taken care of, now it's time to step up and do something else. So that's where a lot of training and coaching comes in place. Okay, so values is one level at which change can happen, and change has to happen at multiple levels for an organization and an individual to become innovative, or anything else for that matter. Okay, so the next part that we're going to look at is beliefs. Okay, So what is a belief? So we talked about values. So a value is something that is important for me, right? And what is a belief? A belief is something that I hold to be true for myself. So for example, I might be 5'7" tall, right? My height will be that physically, and that's a fact. But I may either believe that I'm tall or I may believe that I'm short. So if I believe that I'm tall, that is true for me at a subconscious level. If I believe that I'm short, that is also true for me at the unconscious level, right? So beliefs are very, very subjective, right? And there are very complex belief systems that run in our minds. Okay, so I'm going to show you a small video that talks about how beliefs can be segregated and how we can become aware of our own beliefs. Okay, so please watch this. A set of people believed that the earth is flat and is at the center of the universe and everything else revolves around it. If we could go back in time and ask these people the basis of this belief, what answer do you think we could expect? Because my father said so. Or because my backyard is a flat land. Can't you see the sun go around from east to west and come back again in the east the next day? So the sun goes around the earth. And some other person saw the curvature of the earth in the horizon. Wondered if the earth had an edge if it were really flat. And what would happen to a ship if it kept sailing? Would it fall off the edge? We operate from our beliefs all the time. A majority of our beliefs are formed in our early ages and picked from our environment. If science and faith are at the two ends of our belief spectrum, our beliefs could be coming from published scientific papers, data, experiments, and scientific principles on one hand, and on complete faith on the other. Sometimes blind faith. Faith does work for a lot of people, and it does not require validation. People who base their belief on science often have to spend time and effort validating, questioning, and proving something to themselves. Faith and science literally operate from two different parts of the brain. Where do your beliefs come from? Who do you think may have, I don't know, as an answer to something? A person from the science side of things or from the faith side? Which end do you think great inventions and discoveries came from? Where would humanity be without them? Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, back. Okay. So now beliefs can be of three kinds. Okay. First kind, and a very powerful one at that, all of them are powerful, of course, are beliefs of identity. Okay. So what is our identity? Okay. Okay, I'm Sagar. So Sagar, my name could be my identity. But there are also things like, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm somebody's son, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach. These the roles that we play, right, or our professions, they all become our identity. Okay. Now, usually along with that identity word, like Sagar, coach. Okay, coach is an identity. There could be one adjective just before that. Okay, I can say I'm Sagar, I'm a great coach, versus saying, I'm Sagar, I'm a bad coach. Okay. So the way we qualify that identity. So what kind of a coach do I think I am? Sagar, I'm a good person. I'm a compassionate person. I'm an innovative person. The moment I say I'm an innovative person, when you actually start believing that you're an innovative person, you suddenly start looking at things in a different light. You see that? So belief of identity, that's like a very, very powerful one. It starts, and it's way up there on we're going to see, look at a pyramid later at the end. All right. So beliefs of identity. So now, are your beliefs about yourself, are they empowering you and helping you to become innovative? Or are they becoming a limitation in the way you look at innovation? Right? So if I say, oh, I'm only a supervisor in this company, I'm only an engineer in this company. And the moment you say only an engineer, what happens? It's putting a lot of limitations on your identity. See that? But if I say I am an innovator, I am an inventor, I am a change maker. If you start with beliefs of identity that are related to them, right? There is an innovator in each one of us. There's an inventor in each one of us, right? And as children, we were, in the first 5 years, 7 years, think about it. The number of questions we were asking people, our parents, the amount of information we were taking in from our environment, right? If you looked at all of those, we were very highly innovative. The way, if somebody gave us those mechano blocks or Lego blocks, the kind of stuff that we used to build from it, all that imagination, innovation was all there. And gradually, if you see, as we grew into, let's say, teenagers, and then we got into our first job, or maybe when we went to college, slowly, our ability to ask questions, our ability to think out of the box was slowly curtailed. And we were put into, a track of thinking in a particular way. Okay. Now that thinking gave us jobs. That thinking probably gave us some amount of financial, freedom, financial security and things like that. But beyond a point of time, this identity is slowly started becoming a hindrance. Okay. So think about what your identities are with relation to innovation. Okay. Then beliefs of cause and effect. So what is cause and effect? Exactly. So for example, if I turn this cup, okay, clockwise 90 degrees, the liquid in it is going to fall down, right? So turning the cup, the effect is the thing is going to fall down, right? Very, very possible, correct? And what could be the source of this belief? It's come from an experience, right? And I can do it over and over and over again, and I'll still get more or less the same result, unless I'm in space, correct? So now this cause and effect is based on an experiment, based on an experience. So it is on the blue side of the belief spectrum, correct? If I drop this cell phone down, chances are the glass might crack. May not happen every time, but chances are very high that this might happen. Again, common sense, logic, glass is brittle, this much force coming onto it, it will break. A mechanical engineer can sit and predict it a lot more reliably, right? That's again cause and effect, right? If a cat crosses my path, something bad is going to happen. Cause and effect. Is there a validation to it? Not really, we don't know, correct? So now, if I become innovative, or if I come up with something new, my boss will reject it. Or if I do something like this, I may lose my job. If something else happens, so think about all those cause and effect things that may either empower you as an innovator or hold you back as an innovator. Okay, that's the second kind of beliefs. A third kind of beliefs are beliefs of meaning. Okay, so this means that, right? So if my boss rejected my previous idea, it means that he is going to reject every idea that I ever come up with. If my previous invention failed, it means I'm always going to fail. So we attribute one meaning of one thing based on some event or some experience or something that we have heard from someone else and give it our own meaning that we carry for a very, very long time. Okay, so that's beliefs of meaning. Okay, at this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, else we can move. Right? Okay. Yeah, Subramaniam, you're saying they have to work differently. Can you please tell me a little more, because I'm sorry, I missed the question when you typed it.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Subramaniam, please tell me.
I am Murali from R&D.
Yes.
So, is it can we take beliefs as an intuition of everything?
Can we take a brief word?
Beliefs as an intuition.
Belief as an intuition, yes, it is. I'll tell you how it works, right? So belief is like a filter. See, if I'm belief is a very unconscious force.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we don't get up every morning and say, oh, these are the lists of my beliefs, correct? And we operate on it. So let's say if you have someone reporting to you, for example, let's say a young graduate trainee engineer is there and he or she comes up with some idea, and you've already had an experience that it has worked or maybe it has not worked, right? You'll quickly give a decision, right? And at that time, you're not aware that, oh, I am giving this decision because 20 years ago, I had tried something like this and it has not worked. You simply say, no, this will not work. Correct? So the belief is operating at an unconscious level. Also, the value hierarchy is working at an unconscious level.
Yeah.
And they are very, very powerful. Actually, we're going to talk, when I said we're going to talk about the hierarchy of which is more powerful than what, we'll also come to that. All right. Okay. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So these are beliefs. Now, coming to skills. Okay. So in your industry, what skills do you need in order to become innovative? So is everybody from manufacturing here? What kind of industries do you come from? So I know Bala and team come from education, but some of you might be directly working in manufacturing. So what kind of skills do you need to become innovative? Okay, you're in R&D. Okay. So, and which industry, Subramaniam, Murli? Which industry are you in textile machine manufacturing, right? Okay. So now, what kind of an R&D, what kind of skills are required in R&D to become innovative? So what could be the next in textile machining? So machine design, some simulation skills. These are all the regular technical skills that we might use, right? Designing, calculation, the math, all of this, right? But now for innovation, what kind of skills do we need? So putting myself in another person's shoes, like absolutely empathy, brilliant. I think that's like you nailed it there, right? Putting myself in the user's shoes, right? And asking some very fundamental questions at times, right? And look at this, right? I mean, there are two things that I used to think of as a child, but obviously never took action on it. Okay. One was, why should an internal combustion engine be so inefficient? Right? One second. So big portion of the heat is going out of the radiators, big portion is going out of the exhaust. There's so much heat getting generated, there's friction. Why can't it be more efficient? And I asked this question a few times, asked it to my professors in engineering college. They shut me up. I sat quietly, never asked those questions again. Right? And the entire automotive industry, like so many of my friends, my peers from engineering, who worked in the automotive industry, this question was probably never asked. Or even if it was asked, people were asked to, not ask that question. They were just, their mouths were just shut. And somebody who didn't even belong to the automotive industry says, okay, why do we need hundreds and hundreds of moving parts? Right? And an Elon Musk comes with something like a Tesla, 22 moving parts, right? Gives better acceleration than your Bugatti Veyrons and Chirons, costs a fraction of that kind of a thing, very highly efficient, so on and so forth. He thinks about bringing the rocket back after launching a satellite, and now in a few years, NASA is outsourcing, satellite launch to him, so on and so forth, right? So we do have questions as young people, but we really don't act on them. Correct. So putting myself in other shoes, right? So even if I'm able to sort of conceptualize an idea, if I'm not able to present it to a larger audience and convince them of its commercial viability, do you think my idea is of any use? Right? Everybody comes and thinks of some ideas. Everybody has ideas. So in fact, a professor from Harvard says innovation equals invention multiplied by commercialization. So if your commercialization is zero, your innovation is zero. It's a product of invention and commercialization. And in order to commercialize, we really have to be able to convince a bunch of people that yes, this makes sense. Correct? It might possibly take some amount of the ability to calculate a risk and do this. The ability to break our old patterns, right? So if I came up, so for example, let's say I came from a middle class Maharashtrian family, and my mother would have said, I don't know how many times she would have repeated this. Okay, she said it in Marathi, but it was said, the Hindi equivalent is apni chadar dekh ke pair pasaro. Or if I have to translate that in English, literally, when you transliterate, don't spread your feet beyond your blanket. So live within your means is a message that was reinforced to me all my life in my childhood. Where am I going to be innovative? Where am I going to take risks? No, because I'm hardwired into thinking conservative. Right? So as companies, we have gone through that whole, companies also need to go through that pattern of survival. So during that survival stage, probably innovation might not even be the thought. Saying, okay, let us just supply parts to this automotive company, or let us just get this one contract to export something to another country, and let's survive and let's thrive for till a certain point of time. So maybe those beliefs, those values, and those skills were good to a certain point of time. Beyond that, you'll see industries getting stagnated, and someone else is just coming and sweeping things out. Look at the examples of IBM and Facebook. IBM has been around for I don't know how many years, right? They've just looked at working on the service model. So look at when Facebook started, probably, I don't know, 80s, maybe 90s, I don't even remember. But it's now a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And it's growing so rapidly. It's just because they had this empathy, which Murli said, right? They had this, they understood what the client needs, right? Or what the future users are going to need. So it's coming, a lot of it is coming to behavioral skills, communication skills, and a lot of these other things, which is very, I know for whatever reason, is called soft skills. I don't even agree with that term, soft skills, but skills other than what we were taught in college. They all come into play when we're talking about innovation. Right? Okay. Now, moving on. Let's look at what might get in the way of us being innovative. I think one of the biggest thing is fear. Fear of being ridiculed, fear of failing, fear of maybe losing a little money, and a lot of things. Right? Our mind processes fear first. Correct? Can we overcome a pattern of being afraid of something? Yes, the answer is yes. Any of these beliefs, any of these value hierarchies or any of these patterns, they all can be changed. All you need is the right approach, the right attitude, and a good coach. Okay. Limiting beliefs get in the way. They are very powerful filters. Okay. Let me give you an example. I coached these twin brothers back in Pune. They came from a very poor family. They came to Pune from a small town, and they started a small automotive accessory shop. Worked really, really hard for many, many years. The shop really grew well, and they had this one belief that it is called galla, right? Galla is like the counter, the cash counter where you collect the money, right? It's called galla in Hindi, right? So they always believe that one of the brothers should always be sitting on the counter collecting cash. Okay, they didn't take weekly off, they didn't take annual leaves, all of that. They grew to a point where they now were ready to start their second shop. They started their second shop, right? And now that also grew quite well because they continued with this belief that I have to be sitting on the counter. Okay, the third one was not happening. They were stuck. Why? Because this belief that I have to be physically present on my counter to be able to run this business. The moment, so we kind of did some discussions with them and all that. And their belief was the moment I turn my back, my employees are either going to, not treat my customers properly, or they're going to do some theft or pilferage. Okay. So this belief that I have to sit here worked very well up to a certain level, but beyond a certain level of requirement of growth, they had to change this belief. So what was empowering in one context, this belief has now becoming a limiting belief in another context. So if you see in your leadership, your old people, your managers, if they say, no, this is how it is. It was right when they were young. It was right when 20 years ago, when the industry was different, the context was different. We were in the age of video cassettes. That belief was true, absolutely true. But today it's limiting. Yeah, and today what is an empowering belief, tomorrow might become a limiting belief. It is a dynamic thing. As the context changes, our beliefs have to become aligned to those. Right? So the next thing that they had to do was now, one, learn how to delegate. And they had to learn new skills or technology of, how probably put in barcodes on all their products, put CCTV cameras and have access to it. CCTV cameras very new back then when I was coaching them. So they had to change their attitude. They had to build the skills. They had to build the value of trusting someone. They had to overcome this fear and start trusting someone. They had to build the skill of recruiting the right people and training the right people to do it. With all of these, they were able to scale their business. Otherwise, they would have just stayed stuck with the two shops. Correct? Because they didn't have a third brother for the third shop. Okay. Now, if there are any identity gaps, if I still think, oh, I'm that little bacha, oh, I'm that little kid, I don't know how to do this. Okay. I am only an engineer, I'm only a manager. All of those identity gaps keep coming in the way of us being able to perform well and think out of the box. Okay. And there are skill gaps, like we said. So among all of these, right, the skill gaps are the easiest to fill in. Skill gaps are the easiest. We can do, hire a consultant, we can Google, we can do Udemy, we can do Coursera, we can go to a college, learn skills, we can go to an MBA college and do a program on innovation, understanding innovation process, innovation types, easiest to do, right? So you can see many a times, right? So for example, can I give an example from the world of cricket, and a slightly old example now? So yeah, in terms of skills, right? Vinod Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar were considered to be the same, right? They are more or less the same. Probably Kambli was a little more skilled, they say, right? So what was it that made Tendulkar Tendulkar? It was a bunch of other things. The values that he had, the beliefs he had about himself, and a mission and a purpose in mind. Okay, so that's what is really makes a difference in it. Okay, so here's a very interesting sort of a framework, right? You might want to look at it and how change happens. It's called the Dilts Neurological Levels of Change, and it's named after Robert Dilts, the person who's created this. It's a very powerful tool that I use in practically all my coaching and training change work kind of assignments. Okay. So things that affect us and where all we can bring change. When we bring a change in environment. So for example, we start putting some posters and some messages, or we bring in, when we hire new people, when we start hiring people who have an innovative mindset, we might be slowly be able to start changing the environment, right? So, but environment is at the bottom of the pyramid. It is not as potent as the others, as you'll see now. Okay, our own behaviors and actions, they motivate us, and if we change our behaviors, so if there's an issue with the environment, we can take an action and change that issue, right? So wherever there's an issue, we need to look at the next level to see where we can bring a change. Okay, now you see that there's a problem in a person's behavior. They're stuck, they're unable to take an action, any of that. You might have to look at their skills and capabilities. They might not have the certain skills. So for example, a person might be great at generating ideas and thinking, but doesn't have a communication skill. Now you give them a training in communication, you might start seeing a change. Okay, but now a person who has a gap these are conscious drivers, right? Because you can measure somebody's skills, you can measure somebody's capabilities, you can see somebody's behaviors and actions. So they operate in our conscious realm. Whereas if there's a gap in values and beliefs, right? I don't even believe that I can do this, or I think it's not important for me at all. No matter how much skill training you give them, you will not see a shift, right? So you bring in an innovation process, which is a skills and capability level intervention, right? You tell them, oh, innovation is like this. These are the 4 types. This is how we need to go. Let us come and fill these formats. Let's go and do an interview with our customer. Let's get into our customer shoes. You do all of that. You train them to do all of that under the best trainer in the world that you can. But if that person says it's not important for me, I really don't care about innovation. Or if they say, oh, really, I cannot do this. I am just a supervisor. I am just one designer or a draftsman, right? If that's how I'm thinking, skill training is not going to help, right? There you'll have to work on the values and beliefs. And then you may also have to work at their identity level. But what's at the top of the pyramid and the most powerful and potent force is knowing the why, the discovery. So why am I in this business? If the leadership, if you're MD, your chairperson, whoever is thinking about, why am I in this business? Right? Or if you are thinking, why am I doing this job? Why am I doing this business? Right? And if you're able to define that, let me give you a very simple example, right? Last year in the pandemic, obviously we did many more training programs than we normally used to, because we were already geared up to do online training. For 1 year before the pandemic, we were doing training. But we also took some time to do an innovation workshop for ourselves. We did a lot of studies in this, and we asked this question. So My Growth Zone is the name of my company, right? And we asked ourselves in this workshop, what is our business? What is My Growth Zone's business? And the answers that obviously came from all the team members is we are a training company, we are a coaching company, we give coaching services to people, we give training services to people, we create videos and video content for people, things like that. Okay? And we said, okay, we do all of that as activities. Okay. But why are we doing this? And when we asked the question why, right? Somewhere the answer was, we want to help people enhance the quality of their lives. Okay. And the moment we did that, we had like an epiphany, a moment, like aha moment. We were saying, okay, then if you have to look at this from this filter, right? Does it change the way? And it did change the way we started thinking. So I'll tell you how we did that also exactly. Okay. We used to sell NLP practitioner as a program. Okay, NLP practitioner certification certified by the American Board of Neuro Linguistic Programming. It is a 130-hour program, 2 months of webinars, followed by 3 days of classroom training, coaching, all of that. So Dr. Bala has actually done this course with us earlier. You've seen it, right? Okay, the program did generate value for the people who came, all of that was happening, right? But I was seeing that it used to take me an average of 8 hours of convincing So I had to speak to about 20, 30 people, and I was able to close 2 to 3 people to join this. That was the average. So under 10% closure of business. And I was burning myself out trying to sell this program, right? Because let's say if I have to talk to each one of you, I had to make a pitch separately. So for Bala, I have to sell it separately as to what NLP can do for him. For, let's say, if I have to speak to Karthikeyan V, I would say, oh, he has a different set of requirements, so I speak to him differently, right? And this was the moment we said, we are a company that helps you to enhance the quality of your life. Within 3 months, we had a slightly shorter version of the program and 3 different variants of it catering to specific people. So the same set of NLP techniques, but college students, we are saying we will help you get clarity of goals and build new winning habits so that it becomes a lifelong autopilot thing for you. And we started focusing on students in that way. So smaller duration programs, very, very focused, and focused entirely on the why of my customers, not on my personal why. And just that one shift in thinking, okay, helped us to create a completely new offering, okay, which is basically I started going to business leaders, MDs and chair people saying, okay, I am not a trainer. I am your partner that's going to help you to go from where you are to where you want to go. And in this journey, everything related to people, leave it to me. Okay, so imagine if you are a chairperson and you have so many concerns, strategic concerns about growth, about innovation, about profitability, survival, competition, all that. And a partner comes and says, okay, I understand what your business needs are. I'm going to spend time with you. I'm going to spend a whole day to understand your pain areas, right? And anything related to people, consider me as a part of your company, right? And less than 2 months, we have 3-year-long engagements with 2 companies. One, a very large construction company that has about 850 engineers and managers and about 5,500 workers. And the other company is a very highly creative, innovative company in the warehouse automation space with 70 employees. And that's again an engagement for a year or more. Okay, so just a slight thinking change in values and beliefs or an identity. So instead of saying I am a training company, I say I am a company that helps people enhance the quality of their lives. A change in identity, a change in purpose. I'm going to say I'm going to make a real difference in people's lives. I'm going to help them find something, right? So these are unconscious drivers. And when you think at each of these levels, if you say, why is my company not innovative? Where am I getting stuck? The answer would lie in any of these levels. So if you ask a question of, at each of these levels, if you ask this question, what is my purpose? Do I have clarity in my purpose? What is my core identity? What do I see myself as? Okay. What are my intrinsic values and intrinsic beliefs? Are they empowering? Are they limiting? Do I have the requisite skills and capabilities? Okay. And is my behavior aligned to my purpose? Okay. And am I creating this environment for all the rest of my company? And if all of these are aligned, achieving any goal or purpose just becomes a cakewalk. Trust me. Like we as a small startup were like really, really struggling 2014, 15, 16, 3 years. It was really a struggle, right? 17, we slowly started innovating. 18, we were actually able to put things in place. Okay. 19, just as we were beginning to see things, the pandemic came and we realized we needed to shift. Correct. And the shift that's happened in just the last 6 months, okay, we are doing a significant amount of work because every member now has a clarity and purpose and all of that's happening. So we also got an order to create 100 videos for a company called Crystal, right, on financial inclusion, which is not even our subject. But they saw that, yeah, we had that empathy. We were able to understand their requirements and create this, right? So that's a few success stories from our own stable. I'm sure we'll interact a little more to even share a few more of them coming forward. Okay, so what we offer as My Growth Zone, leadership, innovation, growth, inclusion, and diversity. These are broad 4 areas that we have. Long-term engagements with our clients, that's what we like. We create custom content based, video-based content. We have our own learning management system over which we do this. This is a typical approach that we follow. This again is, a result of what we did last year. Because if you have to bring a change in a person, it doesn't happen in one lecture or one training program. It doesn't happen. It's a long drawn process. So the first phase is basically awareness. So am I innovative? Am I not innovative? What is holding me back from becoming innovative? So all those questions that I asked you, right, at those levels are basically only doing the first part, which is creating that awareness. But that first part is more than 50% of the job done. Okay. The second part that we do is motivation. Why do I need to innovate? What's in it for me? What's in it for my company? So on and so forth, right? Then it's the knowledge part. It's the skill and capability part. That is, if you got your A and M in place, your K phase becomes very, very easy. Okay. And then integration and transformation are phases where, let's say, when you're learning to drive, by the time you come to the knowledge phase, you know how to press the clutch and in synchronously change the gear. You know how, but only by repeating and doing it over and over and over again is when you become a driver of second nature. It's just easy for you. You don't even realize that you are driving well, or you have reached from work to home or home to work. That's when the integration happens. And when that integration happens, that culture of innovation, the way of thinking, the way of asking questions becomes so natural that over a period of time, the entire organization starts transforming, right? So that's how the moment, even if you get some graduate trainee engineers, this one, from day one, if they are exposed to an innovative way of thinking, imagine what it's going to do to them, how much value they're going to bring into your organization, right? So yeah, in our training programs, when we do something like this, it's not just one training program or a lecture, it's assessments, outbound training, movie reviews, all the works. It has to be like something that suits every learning style. So that's about us. You can reach out to this collaboration that we have with GKD Institute. That's us. And this is how you can reach out to me if you have any queries on what we have discussed or something beyond that. So we open it out for Q&A and happy to answer every question, no matter how long it takes. Do you have any questions? Is there an insight, any challenge that you would want to share with us? Okay, so over to you, Bala.
Yes. 1 second.
Sir, a million sincere thanks to you for the sea of wisdom and knowledge you showered us during your amazing lecture. You are too excellent. We would like to thank our trustee madam, Dr. Lalita Devi Sanjay Jayavardhana Velu, and our director, Dr. M. Balamurugan, for organizing this webinar. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on YouTube. I thank you once again for all for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sagar.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sagar.
Have a good evening. Thank you. Yeah, to reach out whenever you have something to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.